G'day and welcome to Deno MAW. This time we're again in Kerbal Space Program, continuing the attempt at building a return shuttle for my space station. Now in the last episode we built the actual shuttle itself and we tested it to ensure it could actually fly. Now this time we're instead building the booster that will get it into orbit, given the shuttle is only intended to return under its own power and not take off. It is not a full space plane. So after much deliberation and much testing, this is the ultimate design I came up with. So let's go in to have a closer look at what I've done. So we'll start off with the most obvious is that the shuttle has been mounted vertically with the cockpit facing to the east, so you can see the ocean there, because obviously as we do our gravity turn to the east, we want to be basically having the astronauts be pushed into the seat instead of out of it. So we're going to roll over. That is what the shuttle did, and we've also retracted the gear to make things easier. You'll see I've given an orbital stage that uses this tank here with my favorite engine, the LV909, and we've got two decouplers, so this will be detached on re-entry so that it returns to the surface, or burns up rather. If we zoom on out, you will see that we have this fairing that wraps nicely around the shuttle and basically means that it is completely enclosed, so the aerodynamics shouldn't be having an effect whilst it's in there. Also do note lots of struts. I had a lot of issues with these struts, and that is a thing. If you're building a space plane, you use mirrored mode. When you build a rocket, you use radial mode. You switch between the two by pressing R on the keyboard. That is something you need to do a lot with this, because as I found out, it is very tedious trying to build something. If you want to use radial, you have to place it in radial mode first, not mirrored. Okay. Now that we got that sorted, I'll move on. You'll see the actual stage here. We got an advanced SAS. That's just to give us a bit of torque, rather, if I can speak. Given that the shuttle itself has basically nothing except the cockpit and a battery, because, well, otherwise the shuttle's battery is not going to last very long. Then this stage, we've just got this twin booster here, and then this tank to just give us a bit more extra, basically boost. I don't know what to call it, so I'll just say boost. And then finally you'll see we've got these Verna engines that act using the RCS, but they burn liquid fuel. That is intended to basically help this thing turn over, because it is very unstable and it only barely gets into orbit as it is, because it's very prone to flipping out. But anyway, that is our rocket, so let's go to actually launching it. Alright, so we have Valentina with us today. She's our pilot in command. As we're ready for launch, we want to maximize the throttle with Z. We want to enable SAS and RCS. Because the shuttle is in the actual fairing, its RCS ports won't fire, so only these will fire, which is handy. Let's bring up the resources so we can keep an eye on everything, and let's go for launch. Now this is actually quite overpowered, so I tend to throttle back relatively quick. You also see I'm straight away getting a bit of an incline so that we're sort of angling over for the gravity turn, which I'm going to switch into prograde to let it sort of gently incline itself, because this thing will rapidly flip out if the nose tips over too far from the prograde vector, something to keep in mind. And because we're in the thick of the atmosphere, we don't want to go too fast or the drag will become too much for these controls to counter. So I'm throttling back to try and keep it to under 350 to 400 or so. So as we're going up, you'll see here we're at 7,000. I aim to be at about the 45-degree incline by 10,000 usually. With this, I need to go slightly steeper because otherwise it's just going to lose control. So we're going to throttle back a bit more, and we can see we're going up okay still. Let's check the map, keep an eye on everything. So yep, our Apple Apps time is going up still. We are continuing to rise. We haven't got any shock effects from the drag, so we're doing okay so far. Just a few puffs from this. Valentina is having a good time apparently. Okay, we're starting to speed up, but I think I'm just going to let that go for now, because you can see if these are burning constantly, then we're in trouble. but they're not. Let's just go on to stability assist now. We don't want to turn over too fast, as I think this might have. Yeah, this has turned over too fast, so let's try and tip ourselves up. Oh, we don't want to lose it, so let's get some more power going. Try and lift the nose up, because this has started to flatten out too early, basically. I don't want to flatten out too early, because we need this to actually put most of the actual entry force into orbit. Whoops, let's put that into prograde. I hit the wrong button there, so that's not something you see NASA doing. Let's just get us into a relatively high orbit. Well, not too high. Okay, we want to be about 100. Yep, that'll do. Because the station, which you'll see is over here, that is at around a 90 to 100 orbit. So we want to be rendezvousing with that eventually. Now, we've only got a tiny amount of fuel left, but that's fine. We'll turn off the RCS and jettison the fairings with all the prettiness that is right there. So, yeah, that is us. You can see some heating. I didn't put any radiators on this, which I probably should have in hindsight. But, oh well, you know, it's how it goes. We want to now figure out... Actually, I want to wait until we're above 70,000, so until we're in orbit officially. There we go. Now we can start figuring out our orbit burn. So we need to burn till we get roughly circular. I'm not going to be entirely picky. So 103, 97, 99, 104. Can we push that out a bit? 100, 103, 102, 101. That'll do. So we've got this. Well, it says 12 seconds, but we don't have that amount of fuel left. We've only got this tiny amount. So what we have to do is wait until we get closer. I'm thinking I'm going to wait until about 45. Yep. Aim towards the maneuver node. Use those to help boost us. Turn that off. Go full power on this. Use what we have. Shut that down. Hit space to stage. Now I've got this engine set on action group 2 and these on action group 1, so I can toggle them with ease. So if we go action group 2, the engine is enabled. Now we can throttle up, separate from our booster, and we can see, you know, where we're actually going to be going with this. So we want to, like, I've had this issue before where I've gone too early. Like if you look here, it says the estimated burn's about a minute. So we've got a decent amount of time to burn. Hopefully everything goes okay. I've managed to get this into orbit once or twice, and a lot of other times it's failed. So it is a tricky one, to say the least. But I think it'll be worth it, hopefully. I mean, I need a shuttle, and I wanted to do something a bit different to my usual crew return vehicles. So, yeah, I didn't actually end up adding a ladder, I just noticed, so that may be an issue on the return, but we'll deal with that when it comes to it. But, yeah, you can see I'm not going to even try flying this in atmosphere. This puts so much weight at the back that this is just not going to fly. It'll be impossible. So, let's switch to the map view. Oh, we're starting to see our orbit come up. It's coming up to 37, 45, 50, 60. We want to get roughly close to our orbit maneuver. Oh, what was that? So we got 96 to 105. That'll do. So we'll enable that. And we'll shut down this engine with 2 with a nice glow. And because the sun is there, let's rotate ourselves around to there. And you can see our electric charge is going up when actually it's because the solar panels are in here. So there we go. Now the solar panels, which interesting, work through the doors, are now enabled. And so there we are. We are in orbit with this ship. So, yeah, now we've got a craft in orbit. In the next episode, we will dock with the station and then attempt a re-entry. And I say attempt because I haven't actually tried that with this yet. So that'll be fun. But until then, I'm Denodon. This is Kerbal's space program. Safe landings.